Okay. Note to self. Note to self. It is a lot harder to go live from your MacBook than it is your iPhone. They wanted all kind of information before I was able to get to the go live sign. Anyway, I'm here. 5 minutes late, but I am here. Maybe 6 minutes. Anyway, my name is Glenee Davis. I am the founder and CEO at RX for Life. RX for Life is a health equity consultancy and workplace healthcare education agency. It's a mouthful, but if you know, you know. If you know that the workplace is full of inequities and health risk, then you would appreciate this information, especially if you are dealing with any kind of job stress, bias, or burnout. This is your place to go. So let me just continue to introduce myself. My name is Glenee. I am a registered nurse. I have a 30-year healthcare experience, 20-year practice as a registered nurse, and 10 years of job stress, bias, and burnout prevention work that I have been doing since 2012 because I myself, as a registered nurse, was dealing with job stress in the form of employment discrimination that really took me on a ride, and I was able to uncover a lot of things that are wrong within the healthcare facility, especially when you're dealing with things like workers' comp or workplace discrimination, maybe sexual harassment or whistleblowing. It's a lot that you encounter as a black woman when you go to the doctor for job stress, or when you go and file an administrative complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Um, the way that they do business, the way that they handle you as a career employee, as a black career employee, is disgraceful, to say the least. So, as I was going through that experience, I, you know, did what I always do. I studied. I learned as much as I could possibly learn about the phenomenon that I was experiencing, which really isn't a phenomenon. Like, this happens to everyday people. It is the reason job stress and bias and burnout, medical bias and burnout is the reason why our American streets are flooded with unhoused people, homeless people, transients, and even worse than that, America's unemployables, the ones who are drug addicted and the ones who are mentally burnt out, like stuck in some pattern. What happened to them is that the majority of them people trusted the status quo. They trusted the bias, they trusted the science, and they ended up being injured. So I'm an author. I've self-published 2 books. One is Yet Here I Stand: My Journey from Bondage to Liberty. It is a wonderful memoir that chronicles my life from Los Angeles, California, where I was born and raised, to living in Texas, and some of the tumultuous times that I experienced in what I call an immigrant childhood. What a lot of my colleagues refer to as, what is that word? Oh, see, I don't even like using the word. I can't remember it. Maybe trauma, adverse childhood. My childhood was not adverse, though it was very inimical. There was a lot of things that I had to deal with and overcome, but those things only prepared me for my experience of discrimination in the workplace. So, 2 books. I also create perfumes, natural perfumes, because I don't know how many of you know this. The word oil is used over 2,000 times in the Holy Word, and certain certain let me just turn this off. In certain essential oils are used by believers when they're experiencing stress, high stress levels. And a lot of the times when people are experiencing high stress levels, if you can hear me in the spirit, hear me and understand me when I say that job stress is a spiritual calling. I want you, if you're going to be a part of my community, to understand that job stress is a spiritual calling and it's something that you have to handle in the spirit, which is why going to your doctor and going to therapy and taking prescription medications for job stress can be a form of disobedience and idolatry. Give me one moment. My battery is about to die on my laptop. Okay. Okay. So, so one of the most important things for Black career women to understand. Well, let me just go ahead and say that my name, like I said, my name is Glenee, and I help Black career women eliminate job stress without fear, without overwhelm, and without a depression diagnosis. So why are these things important for today's employees, especially those of you who worked through the pandemic, especially if you're in healthcare or if you are an employee like a police officer or some other service professional, teacher maybe, and you're going into the medical field or the medical system so that you can get help with your job stress, even signs and symptoms of job stress like headaches and high eye pressures, high blood pressures, weight gain. All of these things are because of increased cortisol levels, right? And so when you don't handle your stress challenge, which is your spiritual calling, which is perfect, right? Your spiritual calling is conflicting you against your employer, your way of life, your income, like real biblical, right? Real battles and fights that maybe not everyone else can see and appreciate, but you feel it and you perceive it, and you don't have the information that you need to have to overcome this challenge. So you go to the doctor and they tell you that it's symptoms of disease, and we're going to give you a pill to help you not overcome that challenge, but to tolerate the way, to reduce the stimuli of what it is that you're experiencing. And that, my friend, is one reason why it is called a disobedience. I said that a little earlier, that you are going to inquire to the physician and get his pills and not inquire of your Father in heaven about what it is you're supposed to do about your job stress, because maybe you are fearing job loss, or you have in your mind that your work is the only thing that you can do to be compensated, when if you're experiencing job stress, nothing else can matter. Job stress ruins lives, health, families. It permanently disables people because you don't get that information that you need to have in order to overcome this challenge. So, one of the old definitions of, I don't want to say old definitions, but one of the ancient definitions, biblical definitions of disobedience is to take medication, um, to take medication in the absence of disease. Job stress is not a disease. Job stress can turn into a disease when you don't handle the stress challenge, allowing your hormones to go back to normal levels. I hope you got that. And when you don't handle the challenge, then on the spiritual side, Christ is going to call you a coward, and he's going to, biblically, like these are his words, he's going to say, "Get away from me, you worker of iniquity." But you, as the employee, as the Christian, may be just thinking, "Oh, I'm just trying to keep the peace, and I don't like conflict, and I'm just going to do what they tell me to do to get along, to go along, get along to go along," or what's the saying? Go along to get along. These are your rights that we're talking about in the workplace. And so if you don't exercise your rights, my friend, then you are nothing more than a slave. I am introducing RX for Life for you. And I know I've said a mouthful and I'll be like ready to just go in and say everything. And I just really am introducing to you tonight the struggle to success story that I have been able to accomplish in hopes that you find some gem, some information to help you on your struggle bus so that you can get off and live a successful life beyond dependency with employment. So I've written about these books. I help women to practice self-care. Um, some of the benefits of working with me is that you learn how to practice self-care. And when I say practice self-care, I'm not talking about, getting your hair and nails done. I'm not talking about your outer beauty. I'm talking about your inner beauty and setting boundaries in the workplace and learning how to advocate for yourself and access the rights that you have as an employee. Because the way things are going right now, um, the medical system is pure evil. It's my beloved industry, you guys. And this is why when after this happened to me and then 10 years later I see what the medical industry is doing to everyday workers and how the homeless population is just increasing. And I just wonder, what did they miss in the workplace? Because I know I almost missed it. And I almost missed it because I believed the things that they were telling me. And what happened as a result of that is that I was injured. But what also happened is that I couldn't doubt that God was in the midst of all that darkness, and I had to find just a glimmer of light to follow. And I want to encourage someone today that although it may seem dark and it also may seem like you're in an abyss and nobody is able to really console you, the reason why that is because God is calling you to do something for him, and you're on holy ground, which means that nothing else can matter. Do not take thought about what you're going to wear. Do not take thought about how you're going to pay your bills. Don't take thought about the political climate that's happening and the prices of gas and food. Focus on the kingdom. If you're going to be political at all, if you're going to be pointing fingers at, the Biden administration or, Trump and the wars that's going on right now, you're going to miss the mark. Sis, I do not want you to miss the mark because the mark is so important for you to just focus on. If you're going to be political about anything, be political about your belief and walking in that mustard seed of faith in the workplace, just the mustard seed of faith. And do not doubt, because what I do know is that the word says that he has never saw the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. And then you have to ask yourself, well, if the Bible is true, then who are all those people on the street that's begging for bread and whose children are also homeless and on the street? How were they unrighteous in the workplace? Because it had to do with the workplace. What else? What other large entity is there where employees show up for a mission of a corporation and forget their very own God that they serve? So I'm here to help you all connect the dots between the living Bible, your faith, job stress, which means your job is your role, right? So job stress is role stress, which means that you have something that you're supposed to be doing for God, which is your role, because this is all internal. Your job stress is usually perceived, especially if it starts to mess with your morals and your mental, your morality and your mental. So I have some notes here, and I didn't want to pass this up. And we're talking about from struggle to success. Let me just go ahead and tell you my story real quick before I get into there's evil in the medical industry and big pharma is hurting workers. Let me tell you my story about that. As a registered nurse, I had a bedside injury that left my elbow and my thumb dysfunctional, right? Disabled. I couldn't lift anything. I could barely write without fatiguing all of my muscles in my hand. I could not pick up pots, and turning my vehicle steering wheel was even a pain for me because of, you know, how the pain radiated to my shoulder. So this is generally a repetitive stress injury, and going into the doctor for the repetitive stress injury, they couldn't identify it at the extent that I was feeling it. So not only did I experience a lot of gaslighting, they thought I was lying about my injury. Like I was trying to quit working my six-figure job so that I can go off on permanent disability, and I was only in my 7th year of nursing. Like it didn't make any sense when I love my career, but these are the biases that I had to go up against. And one doctor even told me, I don't see a reason for you to be using your thumb. My opposable thumb? um, you know, that's the discrimination that I had to face and go through also. And this is not new for Black women. We deal with this all the time when we go to the doctor. They're prejudiced against us and what our experience is, and how job stress affects us differently than it affects our white counterparts. And the reason why is because you're not unconscious with bias. You are a very aware and spiritual woman connected to God, but then you got a person with unconscious bias that is on a hierarchy than you are, that you have to go talk to your managers about what it is that you're experiencing, your doctors, you know, about what it is that you're feeling. And so they judge you based on their academic understanding of your spiritual complaint, which is why you need somewhere else to go, because they're going to just try to put you on medication. When we, as Black career women, go and talk to someone at work about our mental health and about the job stress that we're experiencing, we don't expect for them to judge us in the way where they are disabling us with a depression diagnosis and trying to medicate us that lowers our senses and ability to respond to the stimuli, which then leads us down a road of regret and, you know, injury from medication because we were taking medication that we did not need, which is why you should be using the essential oils and stuff, because those things help you at a cellular level not reduce your stress. Your decision making is what reduces your stress, and your patience on God is what reduces your stress. But there's something significant about the reasons why Moses and Jesus and Ruth used oils, and David, like all of them used these essential oils when they were being used by God, right? So like I said, there's evil in the medical industry, and big pharma is hurting our workers. And instead of me talking to you about them being inflammatory, because you know your enemy don't like to be talked about, right? His ego is very fragile, and I'm not trying to argue with them about nothing, honey. They can talk and say whatever narrative they want to, because you are here. You are one of the blessed people to hear my voice. And the reason why I say that is because there are billions of people on Facebook, and you are here. You are getting this information, and it's not by coincidence, okay? There are many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of women across the nation who wish they had this information before they went into a doctor's office for job stress that led them down a road of impulsivity and doubt and disbelief, and losing their careers and popping off and doing just unimaginable things behind a job. And so you're very, very blessed to be hearing this truth and this light to help American workers today be able to put into practice faith at work so that you overcome the stressors and not burn out. If this is good for you, let me know. Keep me coming on and serving this information because there's darkness in this world, and I am here to just be a light and help you not to burn out. On a spiritual side of burnout, the Holy Spirit revealed to me that burnout in the spirit means at risk for the second death if you don't do something to change your situation around. You ever heard somebody or hear yourself saying, I'm burnt out, I can't do this anymore, I am tired, something has got to give? That's not really you talking. That's you talking for your soul. Your soul is crying out for help, for you to make one sound decision that is going to advance your health, that is going to advance what you're doing. Hey, Stacy. Hi, sis. I hope everything is going well with you. I be trying to look dead in the camera because when I see people show up, I be like getting distracted. I be getting distracted. You welcome. And make sure you share, like and share this information with other people and let them know that RX for Life is here, and we're growing, and we're definitely looking forward to bringing more people on board because this is a community, you guys. I want this to be a community where you are getting all the information that you need to become empowered industry leaders, empowered, healthy, making sound decisions and setting healthy boundaries and saying no to to you know different things that can take away your self-esteem just because you need a job. I understand that you need a job. Your God understands that you need that you need money to pay bills around here. But if you know me already and you've read any one of my books, then you already understand that I went 2 years with zero income and never missed a mortgage payment or a flight out of town. I wrote my first book. And at the end of 2 years, I was healed from the injury that I told you that was just like tearing my life up, and nobody even believed me about it. And so at the end of 2 years, I was ready to publish my book. I sold my property. So that means that I was in escrow and not foreclosure. And this is all because I decided to not do the treatment plans that my doctor had for me that was more helpful for the corporation. You guys know what I'm talking about. You know how these companies do. You know how they do. And it's just so sad. It is just so sad, which is why you need a healthcare authority that is going to be able to help you advocate for yourself, help you access your rights, and help you become accountable or even take the accountability for you for getting yourself healed and in the right mindset about what it is you're experiencing. Because some of you just need to have a conversation with somebody at work, but because of the way that you are raised and because of your mindset and because of your conditioning around employment, you're not able to make that decision, and that alone can wreak havoc on you and prevent you from doing the things that you are supposed to be doing. So thank you again for saying such kind things to me and encouraging me to continue to step out of my own box and get out here on these internet streets with this information that I have. Sometimes I'll be like, ooh, these elites not gonna like what I'm doing, but I'm protected under the wing of our God. No, the feather. When I read Psalms 91, he said, you are protected under my feather. And I was like, your feather, G? Really? Not even the wing. You know how the wing got that little spine going through there, so maybe you can kind of like shimmy yourself under that little spine. But he like my feather, and I'm like, the feather part? What a blessing that is, especially considering where our world is going. You guys, let me know if you know that we are living in end times. Let me know if you know that. Because if you don't know that we live in the end times, then the conversation has to be a little bit different. But if you do know that we are living in the end times, and um, my role, my job is to share the experience that I had in the workplace of tyrannicals and risk of them strong arming me to take medication. Oh, this is y'all. I'm not talking in no rhyme and reason. I'm forgetting, and then I'm saying other stuff. So when I was going to the doctor, they was trying to strong arm me to take opioids, and they were like, well, if you must not be in pain if you don't want to take these opioids. Well, I'm in a lot of pain. I had so much pain I cracked 2 molars because of the tension in my jaw and the 10 out of 10 pain that I lived in for so long. But I didn't want to be addicted. Opioids? You think I want to take How am I going to work? How am I going to practice as a registered nurse addicted to opioids? And then once I'm addicted to opioids, how am I going to continue to see the doctor because I don't have no health insurance no more? And now I'm going to be on the street, and then I got to take what is amphetamines or methamphetamines or something. Just that's why the people are on the street, because of the medical industry. And I've been in healthcare for 30 years, 20 years practicing as a registered nurse. I have zero reasons to lie to you, because what I experienced it the first time I was a patient was when I was going through the workers' comp. And I was just like, oh, this is why people are on the street with their minds lost. So if you are feeling like your mental health is impacted by the things that you're experiencing in the workplace, we do not expect to go to the healthcare industry and come out worse than what we were. But I think the Bible says that happens also, and we don't want that to continue happening. We want you to have sound leadership that is going to take you where you need to go. And each and every person has their own unique circumstances. I get it, but you got to understand that you have to switch your mind to the kingdom, because everything that you are going through, I promise you, God will handle it. Your only responsibility is to handle what's in front of you. My job is to make sure you don't get caught up in healthcare, to give you a plan so that you can know what to do and have somebody to counter the blows that they're doing against you. This is a brand new thing happening in healthcare, and it's really ancient because God gave it to me. If you read Jeremiah 6:16, it tells you to, and this is why part of my logo has Jeremiah 6:16 on it, because God literally showed me when I was building this business that to go, as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and just look it up real quick. He said, go and Jeremiah 6:16. Let me just give me a second. So this is the scripture. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. Oh my God, isn't that beautiful? That he just wants you to go. He wants you to pay attention and see what's going on to people when they go into healthcare, when they go into mental health, when they go and practice yoga, and when they do everything else other than eliminate their stress, and how they become vegans and how they start exercising. But none of these things take away the stressor. What those things do is help you tolerate. Your job, sis, is to cope. And I haven't finished with this scripture. The last sentence of that scripture says, but they said, we will not walk in, we would not walk therein. You guys cannot be telling God you're not going to walk in a certain way because you feel like it's going to ruin your lifestyle. I hope that's not the case. And I asked God, why are you giving me this work this way when your people say they will not walk therein? And he said, because I did it, and I can share the information and the journey with them. The point is that you are already struggling. You are already in a fight. But sis, if you change your mind and your direction just a degree, and learn to let go instead of holding on so tight, then I promise you, God is your safety net. You do not have to continue to stress and struggle and do the same thing that you've been doing over and over again and not getting the results that you want. You can take time off. I can help you get time off. You can strategize. You can have your nurse, your personal nurse, talk to your doctor and to your healthcare professional and even your attorney if you have one, to make sure that there's someone focused on your health outcome, because no one else responsibility is it other than a registered nurse to protect the health outcomes of their chosen population. And I want to help you be able to do that. So I want to share how job stress impacts the mental health and why the medical treatment plans may not be your best plan, especially if you're a black career woman, a believer in Yahweh, a Christian person who is looking to practice that small mustard seed of faith. And if you caught the beginning of it, I did talk to you about disobedience and the way that these medical medicines reduce your stimuli, keeping you from being able to respond. It kills your stimuli, so you are more tolerant of things that are hurting you. So you have to think about how mentally insane it is to have a, a robber come to you to kill, steal, and destroy your very nature, your essence, and your future, and you just stand there and let it happen. Your perception of something is real. And so you have to see job stress in the spirit. This is a spiritual warfare. And that's why you can't go into the mental health industry about your spiritual warfare, because they're going to make it into an organ disease like your brain. It has chemicals off balance. There are chemicals off balance, but it's not localized to your brain. I mean, you have your endorphins and your, dopamine and all of that in your brain, but the chemicals that's off balance is your cortisol, your adrenal glands on your kidney that keeps spiking this cortisol so you can fight off your enemy, but you're not doing it. And since you're not doing it, your body is going to turn on itself. Spiritually, I think that's where autoimmune diseases come from. Like, why would your body turn on yourself unless you're doing something to not protect it? I mean, we even say, like, lupus and blood pressure, these things can be idiopathic. And then when you think about what idiopathic means in the medical field, it means that we don't know where the root cause of your disease is. But idiopathic, you can check my facts, you can Google it for yourself. Idiopathic also means personal. So on one hand, your disease manifestation or presentation of a disease means that we don't know the root cause, but on the other hand, it means you do, because it's a personal disease. I know that I did. I know that I was suspicious of certain things, but people would, gaslight me and be like, oh, that ain't got no connection. And what they love to say in healthcare, causation is not causation is not cause, a correlation not whatever, is BS. The Holy Bible says there's no such thing as coincidence, and he's going to tell you of things to come. And that's the truth. So I'm not against the work that my people are doing, that my colleagues do in healthcare. What I am against is the fact that they're not helping Black career women overcome their job stress. And our families are suffering, our family units are suffering, our communities are suffering, And we like to, and some of our people just love to continue to reach back and talk about critical race theory as if we're not on our way into slavery again. Like, you need to know what to do so that you don't um, become enslaved, enslaved to the system and communism, whatever the enslavement may be. You don't want to be caught up in that, okay? So, as a Black career woman, you want to be able to make better employment decisions. I don't think I said this during this live, but there's only one cure for job stress, and that is to fight or flight. Okay? Way back in the 80s or something, the Institute of Health, no, the Institute of Stress, the Stress Institute, said that spikes of stress hormones are antiquated, that they're outdated, and that there's no reason for you to be spiking stress because you are not living in ice ages with saber-toothed tigers. So that's a true statement, right? But whoever wrote that is also not a Black woman who is dealing with discrimination in the workplace, right? Also not a Black woman who is perceiving issues that are impacting her daily walk, who is taking away her very nature of who she is called to be in the workplace. These things are stressful, and we're supposed to be sheep among wolves, and wolves are still scary. So this is why I say you have to look at these things in a spiritual sense so that you um, get the answers to what it is that you are experiencing and what it is that you should be doing, because you should be doing something. If somebody tells you to wait on the Lord and don't tell you how to wait on the Lord, especially if you're dealing with things in the workplace, then that person is not giving you any helpful information, right? So I'm gonna just go ahead and say, when I say to wait on the Lord, when dealing with workplace issues, that is actually our sixth step of a six step process. After you do 1 through 5, waiting on the Lord means to not negotiate away your rights. Do not give them away, because you are dealing with corporations. You're dealing with corporate. Corporate is an artificial person by law, by definition. So no matter what they do against you or in the workplace, the people who represent the company is never really going to be responsible for it, because artificial persons can't be tried. You are the one responsible for it. And because I don't know why we haven't been taught what it is that we're supposed to be doing in the workplace, but it hasn't served the American people. And so I'm going to do my best to help share with you some tidbits and some caveats on how to overcome job stress. So it's that if you make better decisions in the workplace around these 3 areas, job stress, bias, and burnout, you will transition your life from being a sick, dependent employee to an empowered industry leader. That's great. So remember, I help Black career women eliminate job stress without fear, overwhelm, or depression diagnosis, so that you become empowered industry leaders. An industry leader don't mean that don't mean that you're not going to stay in the same position that you're in, but you're going to make better decisions in that position, right? An industry leader can mean that you are climbing the career ladder joyfully and happily because you are making better employment decisions. Becoming an empowered an empowered industry leader can also mean that you take the information that you have received from your many years of working in your industry and create pathways for other people who have been suffering a lot of discrimination and bias. I don't have no water. I've been just talking. How long I've been on this live? Oh, okay. Thank you. So you have any questions, Stacy? I'm gonna go ahead and go get me some water. So again, I thank you for showing up, and I thank you for listening to my success story. I know I didn't put it in one. Oh, what's your question, sis? So I know that I didn't get the entire story out, but I wanted to make sure that you guys were getting access to my live, that it was going out to people, and I would. I think I really like this. I really like this platform, and I want to connect more with you on this platform, and share some job stress, some struggle to success stories with you, so that you do not feel like you're alone in the workplace, and that you don't feel like you have to subscribe to a mental illness just so that you can keep your job. Um, my goal is to really practice as the registered nurse that I am to the fullest extent of my education, which means preventing death, disease, and poverty for my chosen population, which so happens to be the Black career woman who is dealing with job stress, bias, and burnout. I Oh, okay. Well, you can. Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I talked to Stacy some time ago about peppermint oil, um, using it for high stress times in the workplace when I was working as an ICU nurse. And this is even before I was going through the job stress that I was talking about. And this was the job stress that just comes with being in critical care nursing. And I will never forget using peppermint oil in my patient's room, and the way that that had an impact on my stress response in dealing with cold blues and transporting patients and doing all of those things was just unheard of. I loved it, and it was just such a pleasant smell. So, Stacy, some of my favorite essential oils are frankincense oil. That is actually like the king of oils. It does so much. I burn the resins, which are like the the honey of it, like sticky sap, like a sap. And so I burn it for incense, and I also chew because it's gummy, and I'll chew it, and it does some good things for the intestines. And then I also use the essential oil with myrrh in my bath water. Ruth bathed in myrrh. Um, Frankincense was given to Christ when he was born. And I also use hyssop, which is another biblical oil which Christ used and was given to him at his crucifixion on the cross. And I don't like saying how to use the oils and what to use the oils for, because these oils have so much constituents in them that they're going to do what they need to do for your body. They're very potent oils, so you want to make sure that you are not putting them directly to your skin. Google these oils if you want to know what all have been studied about them and how they help with stress and anxiety, and being able to meditate on the Word of God using these oils. So, frankincense, hyssop, myrrh are some of the oils that I use. I bathe in them daily, and I do use them on my face, and so I get a lot of compliments about my skin. I have acne prone skin, and I have skin that is very sensitive to stress. I have, so which means that in high stress times, my hair fall out and my skin erupt with acne because I stayed in stress for so long that any amount of stress really takes me overboard. So um, I have to have order, and I have to have calmness, like I'm a dead person, right? So like I have to not be in a state of care about anything because I don't have the stress response that I used to have because I wiped it out behind the things that I went through because I didn't have the help that you have today. It does make a difference. It really does. Um, it really does. I have essential oils called Covered, and it's workplace friendly, and I love using it at work. And other nurses in at the clinics and at the doctor's offices and the hospital settings that I work at, they love it also because they get to just put it on their feet and do a foot and hand massage. Like they take a 5 minute break to go and do that, and then the essential oils get through the large pores in the feet and in the hands. And so that also, what that does is create a plume of beautiful oils around you. So even if somebody came up to you with attitude, they instantly got to change it because people would come to me within 3 feet and they'd be like, oh, you smell so good. Like everything, like they was coming up, marching up to me to do something. Like, oh, how are you today? It's like a beautiful flower standing in the middle of chaos, right? And they never know what hit them. It is nice. So you guys have a very good night tonight. I am going to try to be a little bit more organized, or I don't know, get on here and just talk. I be wanting to get so much out, but I don't want to confuse anyone, and I don't want to say anything that's going to make somebody not want to receive the word and the message that I have. And I also, and even if they do, that's fine, you know, forbear if they forbear, you know, whatever. But I just want you to know that I am here for you. Um, I am legit in the work that I do. If you caught the, the video that I posted of the Cope masterclass that I did, I have that here on Facebook also. I do encourage you to watch it. I sent it to my subscribers also. The only thing that you guys didn't get are the questions to your answers, the questions to people's answers that did attend. So, but I did share the rest of it with you. And in sharing it, I did share what the U.S. Surgeon General is saying about protecting Black women from harm. And so this is the work that I'm doing to help protect you from harm. I don't want it to sound as inflammatory as the words that I'm using. Like I want you to hear the words that I'm using in a positive sense and not as a fighting sense, but then it is a fight because aren't you worthy of a fight? Aren't you worthy to be saved? Aren't you worth a little tussle? I think you are. Um, yeah, I think you are. So I'm gonna end it on that. I'm gonna end it on that note, and you guys have a beautiful rest of your evening. I will decide how often I'm gonna come back and talk to you. Maybe I'll read something from my book. Maybe I'll go over some current affairs. I'm not really sure, but I do. What I am sure is that I want to get to know you a lot better, and I want to present myself to you as your healthcare authority, your nurse, when you are going through something in the workplace that is impacting your health or your body autonomy or anything that can be causing you mental distress, that I'm here for you, okay? Let's sit down and have a discussion about what it is that you want to do, but I need you to be willing to do it, to trust the process, and to know that, you know, these are your workplace and healthcare rights, and these are your inalienable rights and your calling from the good Lord, and I don't want you to miss that, okay? I love you all. Have a good night. Until next time, be well.